Yo, so the Fallout Day stream has come and gone. We got news on Fallout 4, Fallout 76, New Vegas, and a Switch 2 release and Fallout Shelter. And we also got a little teaser at the end about the future of Fallout, but overall, if you came in today expecting news on a brand new release or just something new down the pipeline, you really didn't get much. And they kind of acknowledged this during the stream. But I still want to go over what was announced for every game today because they did touch on a lot of their old previous titles, but we didn't get a ton of new information. But Todd Howard did give a little teaser at the end, and I will do a complete roundup of all the current rumors just to give you an idea of what we could be looking at in the future. So for those of you who don't know, Fallout does a new stream every year now where it's the day that the bombs were officially set off, and they pretty much it's just a Fallout Day. It's a day to celebrate Fallout. Now, the first thing I want to go over is Fallout 4's Anniversary Edition. So Fallout 4 is not only getting an Anniversary Edition, but is also now coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. It's been 10 years since Fallout 4 debuted, and to mark that occasion, a new version of the game is being released soon. Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition will arrive in less than a month as a digital-only title. The new collection has a November 10th release, which will include all 6 of the previous release DLC, add-ons, as well as 150 items pulled from the Fallout 4 Creation Club, which focused on game changes and improvements from content creators. And there's even more to Fallout to come across consoles and PC, including on Nintendo Switch. Now, unfortunately, while we are getting this Anniversary Edition in November, the Switch 2 version is not coming until next year. Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition will be released on Switch 2 sometime in 2026. Making the first time a mainline Fallout game is on a Nintendo console. And yeah, Shelter and Pinball were released on the Switch and Wii U. So yeah, this includes all the DLCs. So that will include all the DLCs, kind of a whole package. I'm not really sure the purpose behind this. I get the Switch 2 release, but I'm just not sure what this is. Hopefully it fixes the game because I played it a little bit when they added the next gen update and redid the game, but that really broke a lot of the systems within the game, especially if you do mods. And even without mods, it was just a broken game. And I don't know. And from what I've heard, it's not really been fixed yet. So hopefully this just fixes that, even for the people who don't get this edition. This is probably one of the more disappointing parts besides the Switch 2, but I'm just a little disappointed that the Switch 2 version wasn't ready yet. Like, we've kind of been giving Bethesda the benefit of the doubt with them kind of holding on to releases and news as far as regarding like Oblivion and the new Elder Scrolls and Starfield. They've been holding their cards close to their chest. So I was anticipating something to really release alongside the new show coming out in December. But as far as that, they have other ideas, and I will go into that in a little bit. And the next big thing they announced was another Anniversary Edition, but this time for Fallout New Vegas. But this one was a little more interesting. So this is a full-fledged Anniversary Edition bundle. That's like a physical collector's item. This is kind of cool. I will say I do like collector boxes as someone who collects physical media nowadays. And yeah, this wasn't, I mean, we all had high hopes. This isn't what we were looking for, but it's still a cool thing, I guess. What's not cool, though, is the price. You get a statue, some patches, a pin. Not the coolest. The box is the coolest part about this, like putting on a shelf. I mean, this is pretty cool, the Victor statue. But what is unfortunate is that it is $155 for a 15-year-old game that is on sale currently with the Fallout sale. The Fallout Day sale for only like $5, I imagine, is what it is on Steam usually when it goes on sale. So a high markup for the collector's box and everything else that comes with it. It's like $7.50 to get the game and the DLC. So this is just for the hardcore fans. It's cool, I guess, if they wanted something like this. So next we have a big update to Fallout 76, and this just kind of coincides at where Bethesda's at currently with Fallout and where they are with their community and understanding what their community truly wants. Because while Fallout 76 is the newest Fallout game, many people still want that classic single-player RPG. I mean, that's what they want with Fallout. And 76 does not really give you that. But with that said, if you're ever listening to Todd Howard, Fallout 76 is what they really considered to be the newest Fallout. They truly consider that the next game in the series. And that's why it's been getting so much love. So they're getting the Burning Springs update this December 2nd. This is what they are truly launching alongside the new season of the show. So on December 2nd, Walton Goggins will be playing the Ghoul on the DLC. I've heard mixed reviews about this DLC. It does sound like it's a big DLC, but I've heard mixed reviews from early playtests. The Ghoul is open for business in Burning Springs. Take on low-level bounty hunting events to earn more daring challenges and earn caps and legendary items. More dangerous bounties also give a chance to earn one of a dozen unique mods benefiting both humans and ghouls. team up to complete 2 new public events. I'm personally someone who's not really into 76. I do want to give it a try. I have wanted to really get into it for a while now, but it's just I have a huge backlog with so much stuff releasing, and it's just not at the top at the moment. I do want to get into it eventually. I do plan on giving this a try in the near future, but it is not what I ultimately want from Bethesda. But it really doesn't come to any surprise as to why we're seeing this. Todd Howard holds his game very highly. When asked about the support for Fallout 76, we're going to keep going. Look, that game has never been more popular than it is right now as we're talking. So we have a great kind of internal roadmap of things that we're doing for the next several years for that game. We think it's going to keep continuing and keep continuing. You think one of the things that you see in the industry overall, people play their games for longer, Saw the study at the end of last year, like the top 10 games played for 2023, the average age of those games were 6 years old. Fallout 76 is now 6 years old. Wow. The only new game I think in that list was Starfield, and the only new IP. So we found this too with Skyrim turning 13 years old, that people really play these games for a long time. And so for 76, we think it's going to continue and continue. There is some truth to that, but there is such a huge part of the community that is craving a single player RPG. But with the release and success of Fallout's show, this just truly keeps backing up the point that they truly had no idea the show was going to be that good and probably didn't really believe in it. They could have truly capitalized and had a game ready to go when that show launched. Like, could you imagine when they tease New Vegas at the end of season 1 and they have a New Vegas remaster lined up at like how popular and huge that would be? That would have been a massive success. And they clearly didn't have anything in line with that, and they were caught off guard. And we now know that there are multiple new projects being worked on, and largely because of the show, I believe. And there are a lot of expectations, because we know that there are quite a few projects actually going around. And if you've been following anything that's been going on with Xbox, they're kind of in trouble, and they're kind of really need to make some money here soon. They've been increasing the prices of their consoles, increasing the prices of Game Pass. Call of Duty lost them a lot of money when they purchased that title and added it to Game Pass. It really affected the sales. So Xbox is really needing more from Bethesda. And the problem with that is Bethesda is currently trying to revive Starfield next year with a delayed DLC that was supposed to be this year. We all know Starfield has not lived up to its full potential. Shattered Space, in their eyes, was supposed to revive the game, and that DLC ended up being received by fans as worse than even the base game. So while it might be a good thing that they're delaying things and working on this DLC and maybe attempting to do some form of Cyberpunk, even though a lot of Cyberpunk's failures were not the design of the game, but just technical aspects of the game running, Starfield's core fundamentals of that game are a problem. And I think a DLC could fix it and help revive it, but the problem is it's been delayed to 2026. And we also have The Elder Scrolls. That is a huge game, and that will be the second biggest launch of the 2020s behind GTA 6. The Elder Scrolls 6 will be a moment, and for anyone that doubts that, just wait until we start getting official teasers and leaks. It will be huge, I promise. So with that said, Xbox does own Bethesda now, and they really need something from them. And the problem is, as dumb as some of the spokespeople might be for Xbox, there's smart people within that company somewhere. You know that there are smart people within that company that clearly see the show is doing very well. Fallout 76 got a huge bounce in players, breaking records. They hit 20 million players, and not only is that a huge number for them for as far as like reaching the total player count this far into their game's life, this far down the line, 6 years later after release, but it has been said behind closed doors to creators that the game has seen a huge spike in players, like millions of players coming to this series because of the show, and this being the newest Fallout. So while fans might want that single player experience, Fallout 76 has seen success lately, and it makes sense for them to keep feeding in content. But they know fans also want that single player experience, which is why Fallout 5 was now fully greenlit. So even in the thumbnail here, I mean, they got the show and the new Fallout side by side. Now this is where things get interesting. So Bethesda, like I said, they're working on Starfield now. There will be a DLC in 2026. They have said it in the past that they plan on supporting Starfield for years to come. That's typically what they do with most of their games. And they've also said in the past that they like to get games going. They like to release the games and then work on them until they give fans what they truly want, which could take time with something like Starfield. And they're obviously working on The Elder Scrolls 6. That is going to be a huge bag for them and Microsoft when that drops. But where does that leave Fallout? I mean, we're talking, if we're getting 2026 Starfield, and if we're lucky at this point, a 2028, 2029 Elder Scrolls, like I hate to say it, but if it releases in the 2020s, we'd be lucky. Or 2029 seem to be the most likely, but with how things are getting delayed, we'll see. At what point are they going to pull the plug on Starfield and just go all on an Elder Scrolls? That's what I'm wondering, because I'm sure They don't want to take that hit to their ego with Starfield failing, but at the same time, Elder Scrolls is just waiting. It's sitting there looming. It's like the elephant in the room. And then you have Fallout 5, which honestly, that might be the elephant in the room, because where does Fallout 5 fit into this? If that's the case and we're looking at this timeline, and Todd Howard has already said we're the ones who are going to be making Fallout 5, where does that leave this game? So Fallout 5 has been reportedly greenlit in development and is moving forward, though who exactly is leading development on the new installment in the series is currently unknown. That is interesting. So this is where things get tricky. The report comes from the latest episode of the Xbox 2 podcast, where Windows Central executive editor Jez Corden discussed how Xbox is handling Fallout as a franchise moving forward. However, he didn't know what studio would be developing Fallout 5, as he believes Bethesda Games Studios' core teams are currently working on additional Starfield DLC and The Elder Scrolls 6. Now, there's been mixed reports on both sides on what this means. We don't really understand the balance of the teams currently at Bethesda. What portion of the studio is working on Elder Scrolls 6 or Starfield? We've heard reports that they're going all in on trying to revive Starfield, and that's why it was delayed. And also we've heard that their studio was fully in on the Elder Scrolls 6, and that a smaller studio is still working on Starfield. We really don't know which one's being worked on, but we do know there isn't a main studio working on Fallout 5. Now, we know that Fallout 5 is being worked on because they ended up having to free up room within the company to make space for Fallout 5, and it sacrificed ZeniMax's MMO. The MMO that Xbox playtested and loved even the week before was canceled. Part of the push for Fallout 5 and Fallout in general came at the expense of ZeniMax Online's next MMO, codenamed Blackbird, which was canceled as part of Microsoft's latest round of layoffs. This was earlier this year. From what I heard, it was a case of, do we want to sink a ton of money into getting this project Blackbird to a point where it can compete with the established players in the market, or do we want to allocate the investment towards making Fallout 5? That's what confuses me, because if this game was supposed to be coming out in the next few years, and Fallout 5, if it is worked on by Bethesda, wouldn't be coming out until the 2030s. Why would you sacrifice that current game right now that could be giving you money in the future? This is kind of telling that Fallout 5 might not be made by Bethesda, or at least maybe they opened their own new studio, kind of like we saw with Halo, even though it didn't work well. And we've seen in the past, maybe they get their own brand new studio because it hasn't been handed off to anyone else yet. So Fallout 5 is just a huge mystery, to be honest. I don't know what this is. Todd Howard and Bethesda obviously want to work on it. They've said they're going to work on it, but it looks like it might not be. And we also know that Fallout remasters are also coming. Earlier this year, we saw Virtuos remaster Oblivion, The Elder Scrolls 4, and they are potentially working on a Fallout 3. Nate the Hate, one of the most reliable leakers in the industry, confirmed that it is coming. Have you heard anything new in regards to Fallout 3 Remastered? It was listed in the leaked Bethesda documents back when Microsoft and FTC were fighting. So is it still happening? If so, any idea when it could be announced or released? It'll be a while before we see it. So this is the document that he's talking about. As we can see here, this was released a long time ago, and everything on this list was essentially 2 years behind. So all of this stuff here was pretty much, it came out 2 years afterwards, like with Starfield and then Indiana Jones, all of that. This was all pushed back 2 years. So as we can see on this report, we did get Oblivion earlier this year. This was on the 2022 fiscal year. And then we also have a Fallout 3 2 years later. Now, it's been rumored that the studio behind this would be Virtuos, the same people who remastered Oblivion on Unreal Engine 5. And that would make sense since the game was supposed to release 2 years after Oblivion, and that the leaks also point out to the game not being close to being finished. It would make sense that this could also be Virtuos, not another company. They could have done this, and that's why there's a gap between this and Fallout 3. So this could be 2 years away, maybe a year and a half away. There's also been some cryptic statements made by people within the industry that have stirred up some conversations within at least the Fallout community. So according to Video Game Chronicles' Jordan Midler, who recently appeared on the Friends Per Second podcast, multiple new Fallout games are in development. There are multiple Fallout projects in development, including, as far as I'm aware, the ones you've all been wanting. He didn't come back around to this to clarify what he meant by that, and this was a while ago. As you can see, this article was posted in July, and we still haven't gotten clarification on what he meant by that. So quite a few projects that he could be working on. Obviously, everyone thinks it's New Vegas Remastered or New Vegas 2. I'm not sure if that's the case or not, but it could be the Fallout 3 Remastered. Maybe he means like the ones we think of, because Fallout 3 is on that official document that was leaked. It could be the Fallout 5, which was officially confirmed, but with multiple games being worked on, we're not really quite sure what that means to this day. So yeah, we have a fan here saying, I would love Obsidian Fallout, but New Vegas 2 sounds like when people jokingly call Elder Scrolls 6 Skyrim 2. And this is something I've been wondering myself. Obsidian just finished The Outer Worlds 2. It is releasing literally like next week. And that is a game that has the bones and makeup of a Fallout game if they just change some things around. Who knows? Obviously, expectations will be high. Who knows if it could really live up to Fallout New Vegas 1? But still, I'm just saying that's a team under Microsoft's hood that is just waiting to be working on their next game. The problem with all of this comes back to the timing. They did not have anything lined up for Season 1. They didn't really have anything lined up for Season 2 besides Fallout 76. Now, fortunately, the worst case scenario of this, and what we really might be looking at, is they didn't think the show was going to pop off the way it did after seeing Borderlands and other shows failed. They did not think it was going to be their version of Cyberpunk, bringing life back into the game. And it was that. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, they didn't have anything planned for the show whatsoever. And then the show takes off, and then they're like, okay, we're going to greenlight multiple projects. Fallout 5, greenlit. Fallout 3 Remastered by Virtuos was already greenlit. But now New Vegas, where the show was going, let's say they greenlit something for that. Unfortunately, with the reality of making games, these things take years and years to make. They have the backing of Microsoft, they have the money from Microsoft, but no amount of money is gonna really increase the production of that game if they want it to be a good game. So if anything new was greenlit because of the success of the show, the unfortunate reality is would take years and years to make. And it's likely that something was greenlit and from the show's success, but we won't see it until like 2028. 2029, like 3 or 4 years down the road. So that is the unfortunate reality of where we are at now with Fallout. If you want more Fallout news and just gaming news and discussion in general, check out the channel. Thank you for making it this far. If you did, drop a like and subscribe if you're interested in more and this is your cup of tea, and I will see you guys in the next. Peace.